Welcome back everyone, I'm the Depressed Dior and this is Distrust. Alright, so I'm just grabbing some characters. I got Nicole with her gun, got Irma with their, reduced hunger rates, and I went ahead and just grabbed Olga. We're not going to be doing a full playthrough here, it's just going to be kind of, what I'm intending on doing is I'm going to get set up in a situation where I can potentially get more and more insane, just to kind of show off some of those mechanics and talk a little bit about the game. So let's jump right in. So I've pretty much done kind of everything there is to do in this game, which is, I mean, overall it was a pretty fun game. There's definitely a couple of issues with I guess the main sell of the game, which is the insanity, the sleep deprivation mechanics. I think the biggest issue is like the main draw is like all those crazy insanity effects that can go off. Most of them are kind of harmless. They kind of just do some weird changes to your screen, like, make it all night vision or something like that. But the issue I run into is I'm not fighting against insanity in this game. I'm fighting against my health bar. Everything does damage to you. Bleeding does damage. Getting a cold does damage. Getting ill does damage. It's just everything just does damage. So even like sleep deprivation, which is like the primary mechanic, also does actual health damage. So the reason you would actually, make an effort to do anything about it is not because of the insanity, even though some of the insanity effects are definitely devastating, but really it's just a matter of you want to keep your health up. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, what we need to do is find preferably some food, and then that's about it. But like I said, overall the game is pretty good. I don't really have any issues with it. I mean, besides what I just mentioned. It's just like, that's the only thing that really stands out. It's like, okay, you have all these neat insanity mechanics that will never happen. And that's the problem. I mean, how often did I actually go insane in my playthroughs? It wasn't too often. In the beginning it happened a few times, but really the biggest thing that wrecked me was freaking bleed. Everything cuts you, and I think that's something to do with the cold. Like, apparently if you get cut in the cold, it's possibly worse type thing, but I don't have any experience to really say it does or doesn't. The bleed was the most threatening thing. Obviously sickness was another thing. There's a lot of like items that were like, harmful to you. If they could potentially help you, but more than often than not, it would just harm you more than anything. And mainly the main benefit of those items were to craft medkits from. But if you never get all three of the components necessary, you just end up carrying a bunch of those useless items that don't really help you. Lockpick. Oh, you just finished. The random events are kind of interesting, but at the same time it's just a coin flip. And like having the choice of doing the coin flip is nice, but sometimes you don't get a choice, which I found very strange. Like the time when I was like, okay, you know what, I don't want to risk wasting the coffee, so I'll refuse to do it. And it still did a coin flip anyway, just to make me do it. So a lot of it's just kind of like it's all against you at that point. Then just I guess the risk and reward for the coin flip is kind of iffy, but I mean, if you have the resources to spare, I guess it's alright. And speaking of getting cut, I just got cut. I do have a band-aid on me, so it's not a big deal. But you'll definitely notice how many, like when I did the achievements to unlock the one character that can that can repair objects really well. I had to go through a lot of trouble to actually get those mechanics working, because the big issue is, of course, it's what forms of madness you get is completely random and it's not reliable. And I ended up being in a situation where I was like, okay, get my 3 insanities. I don't know how many madnesses you can get, but I did it until I got 3 or 4. and then I would rest. But then resting, of course, would remove the madness, but it'll also restore my freaking, my health or my what's it called? Satiety. No, it's not satiety. Stamina. It would restore my stamina. And so it was kind of like a self-defeating type thing. And like I said, the issue wasn't that I was struggling with. It was the fact that being lacking sleep also does health damage, and there's not much you can do about that. The flavor text is really good. I like it. And let's talk about probably the biggest. Whatever. Go ahead and make it. I don't care. And there it goes. So the aliens is, the other main draw. You're supposed to be fighting between sanity and bringing these aliens into the world, into existence. Because the way the aliens work is they come into existence based off signals, brain signals caused from REM sleep. But as you probably noticed, I don't really have that many issues with the aliens, because a lot of times it's just like, okay, they each have their own weaknesses, and a lot of the weaknesses you can't really take advantage of. For example, to kind of give it just a summary, one is weak against light, and will seek to destroy a furnace. There's one that will that is weak against heat and will drain energy from a generator. Then there's the one that is a electric based, which its weakness is those ghost traps. And then of course there's the weird more humanoid type monster, which its only weakness is the fact that if it's in like a if it's indoors, it takes some additional damage. But to be honest, its main weakness is actually the fact that it goes really slow, so you can actually kite it. And all the aliens can get killed in one shot, so your gun is kind of your last resort if you're in trouble. For the most part, you can literally just kill the basic enemies with just your flashlight. And it has to be with the flashlight because there's not really any mechanics that go around turning off and on lights. That's another issue. It's like, okay, it's weak against light, but I can't bait it into a room and then I can't turn off the lights and then bait it into a room. I have to wait until the generator runs out and then bait it in, or just wait until it just dies naturally because there's lights outside as well. All right, let's bandage up you. Same thing for the what do you call it? The ice ones. The ice ones you can bait a little bit better if there's windows. You can just open a window. The windows is but the window mechanic is kind of weird. Like, I'm pretty sure all these rooms are insulated. So I'm pretty sure even though one room has and she just got cut again. Even when when a room gets, like a window there's like a breach or something like that, like a window's open or a door's broken. I don't see how that would affect a room a sealed room, especially some of the rooms that actually have, sealed doors. Like this freezer door here is a sealed door. Anyway, right now I'm doing a lot of actions because actions are what will actually tire you out faster. But yeah, I could see in situations like, maybe make one room cold and try to bait them in, and then try to lure the guy them in a different way, or purposely break doors so there's an entire cold route to lure a alien in. But that's not really what the game does, and that's an unfortunate issue. But like I said, overall the game is pretty straightforward, but it's really just a balancing act of your health bar. Like all these other meters honestly don't matter. Like, yeah, sometimes you might get a bad sanity effect, but really the thing that matters more than anything is your ability to keep that green health bar full. You can survive literally everything else at 0, because all it's going to do in the end is do health damage. So in the end, it's all about balancing health over everything else. Anyway, like I said, I'm just kind of talking and rambling. Not exactly in the best of mood while recording this, but I kind of wanted to get this video done because I need this up for Friday, which hopefully will actually be accurate. It's not often I do it's not often I double stack videos onto days. Like I have literally 2 different let's plays, and then I have, of course, Distrust on top of it, on top of everything else. But I kind of just did it because it was just a newer game, and I wanted to go ahead and show it off. There's, of course, been people been making comments. As always, I do read every comment. I don't necessarily reply to all of them because sometimes I just feel like I don't really have a good response, and sometimes it's just people being jerks, and other times it's people saying things about the mechanics of the game or how I play, and in the end, the amount of time it would take me to explain it through text generally is not worth the effort, to be honest. That's just kind of how it is for like internet conversations and things like that. So it's not really anything. It's not anything I'm really calling anyone out on. It's just all about doing switches and stuff. Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna worry about that. But I do appreciate the comments, especially the praise, because I love attention, I guess. But yeah, like I said, I read all the comments, all that good stuff. As for what I'm gonna do next, I'm not really sure. I don't know if I'm gonna do another full week type Let's Play yet. I think I have one Let's Play, though it's probably just one of those situations where it's just like, you know what, I'm probably just gonna bring this series up. I usually what I end up doing is I end up recording a lot of things, and then I'll look at it and I'm like, you know what, this is not gonna work, and I end up just scrapping the videos, which of course costs time and effort, things like that. But I rather try my best to present something. Usually I want to at least do some sort of Let's Play that I can either do proficiently or at least try to talk about it a little bit. Of course, there's always the situation where I'm like in quiet moments, kind of like with Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon's kind of my zen game, I guess you can say, which is kind of odd for that particular style of game. Anyway, I'm just looking to see if there's any other... we never went in there. Alright, you can go there. So I'm hoping with 3 characters I can show a nice variety of sanity effects. I do have plenty of food. There is a protein bar, which is a little annoying, but not the end of the world. Really, it's just going to come down to like food and stuff. We also have an adrenaline if we really need it. Also, I didn't go through that door either. What's I guess a little funny about this game is every situation where I was like, okay, there's a cold enemy, let's open a window. It's always in a building where I don't have windows, like every time. But if you do manage to set up a trap like that, like if you already had the generators off or something like that, and there's one of those light-based enemies, and you turn the lights on like just as they enter the room you're in, it pretty much just kills them. It just wipes them out completely. So yeah, everyone's getting drowsy. That's great. Cigarettes. The cigarette mechanic is weird. Like literally, the achievement is to personally do damage. Not personally, purposefully do damage to yourself in order to get a new character, and that new character literally is just a liability. Like all he does is smoke cigarettes to get a slight buff, and then if he doesn't smoke cigarettes, he eventually gets a debuff. So he's like not that useful. I guess that's another thing. I didn't really talk about the characters. Overall, the characters are pretty decent. Um, some of them, their special effects are kind of meh in comparison to other characters. Like, obviously having characters that can literally not eat as much food, for example, is rather a lot more powerful than say, you start out with a gun. I mean, the gun one is actually probably one of the better ones as far as an item starting thing, but in the comparison to like some of the characters, there's like one character that starts with just a bunch of like generic tools and stuff like that, and that's his special ability. That's all he gets, and I find that to be kind of lackluster, especially when you have characters like the cook who can make additional shakes on top of the food that she crafts. The shakes themselves are not game breaking, but it is in a game that's all about food and warmth and all that stuff, and the fact that Shake does all of them at the same time is it's pretty powerful. And there's of course the special character that literally his special ability is he regenerates health, which in itself, like I mentioned before, this game's all about the green bar. It doesn't matter about the other bars. So having a character that can literally regenerate health is pretty game breaking. But of course, the way you unlock them is to use 100 medkits, which there's no way you'll be able to do in a regular playthrough, which is why I had to kind of do some gamey things to make it actually happen. But I think the characters are kind of interesting. They all have kind of their own dialogue and stuff. Unfortunately, white noise. So yep, so strange whispers. Okay. So she's just gonna hear some sounds. Attacks of aggression. Attacks of aggression. I hate this world. The only thing that can help is a long nap. White noise, of course, just blocks out all noise. And strange whispers is who's here. Go ahead and fill the generator. And I'll actually send you over here now. As for the different stats that the characters have, I really didn't notice any difference, to be honest. I think probably the only one that maybe I might have noticed some difference is some characters that had better cold resistance overall. But beyond that, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. So what I'll probably do is just let these first batches of sanity go off, and then after that I'll probably call it good. What I did when I was trying to get the one achievement, I literally went to sleep, and then after I went to sleep I would take all the food that increased stamina at that point just to get my satiety up, and after that I would just let it drain again. It takes a while, unfortunately. It actually got to the point where I literally had very low health and nothing was like, left. There was nothing left at all, and I actually had. It was actually once I actually got the madness that breaks objects. I had to. It was like I said, it was a race against the clock. I had to break as many objects as possible before I died. Thankfully, I was able to pull it off. Anyway, night vision just changes your view to green. Homesick, it's just you're gonna hear references to helicopters. I think you can actually hear a helicopter. I have my volume kind of low, so I don't actually know if that's happening. I think what would have been neat about this madness is if through her view you would actually see helicopters like out in the field or something like that. Gluttony makes it so you'll pick up like random like objects like burgers and stuff. Though as far as I can tell, I don't think they actually do anything. There's imaginary. But like I said, a lot of these effects don't really do anything, and it doesn't. And as far as the group is concerned, there's not really any real interactions. For example, there's one that makes you hallucinate. There's one that makes you hallucinate, and it makes it so you see your allies as monsters. But as far as I can tell, it doesn't actually do anything. There's never a situation where your characters will actually flip out and lose control. And I think that's the biggest issue. Like, literally all this does, in the end, in most situations, is it just changes my view for that particular character, which you can generally negate by just switching to a different character in general. But yeah, as you can see, it's not really like, yeah, I've gotten 2 madnesses so far. Here's Burst of Anger. Space Distortion. So yeah, there's Space Distortion, which can make it a little harder to click things, but that's about it. And both these characters got Burst of Anger. This is where you actually can break things. Let me show you how to break things. Here, I'm going to go ahead and just give you this. Oh, you got to detoxify. I usually would rest at this point, but I'm going to see if you can actually get more than 3 madnesses and see what happens. Alright, she's good to go. So here's how you break things. Let's go find ourselves... Oh, that generator's fine. All the generators just went off. Okay. We'll go here. Actually, where's the fuel can? Let's go to the fuel can. And I'll let you recover some health. Completely lost my train of thought. I don't know if I had a train of thought. I mean, like I mentioned before, most of the madness effects don't really do anything. Some of them do some weird things, like the one where he quotes Shakespeare or whatever. It's just like, okay, whatever. Alright, so this is how you do this. If you want to purposely break objects. There you go. Now, if you're wanting to purposely break objects, what you can do is you can keep using the item over and over again until you break it. So even if you succeed the power of the generator, you can just keep filling it, even if it's full. So that's what I did. I just kept spamming every generator and then ran to the next one. So if I wanted to, I can go to the next place and just start breaking that one too. But it's looking like I think 3 might be the cap as far as madness goes. I do think that making it so you can get rid of 2 madnesses at once with 1 full rest is a better improvement, because it did get to the point where it got a little ridiculous. Like, okay, maybe you stayed up a little too long, and so now you're insane. It's a bit ridiculous. But like I said, it's kind of a weird balancing act. Wow. I actually had a lot of trouble getting the freaking breaking object thing to proc, and now I'm like a master at breaking things. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, the helicopter that you start at, which is down here. Where is it? There. Oh! Remember that advice I said about the helicopter? Apparently it's right there. That's pretty hilarious. You know what? Go use it. I want to see what happens. First part of a lottery ticket. One of the one of the 5 parts to restore the winning lottery ticket. Fly home. Yes? She's just gone. She's just gone. Oh, that's amazing. Do I still have the lottery ticket? I do. I don't know if there's anything that involves this lottery ticket. I mean, that's pretty hilarious. It's looking like I'm not getting any of the madness going. That was one thing I was wondering, is whether or not if you would actually see helicopters outside. She's just gone. I don't know how to... Yeah, that's kind of neat. I mean, the problem, of course, is that is the only outdoor thing that's really available. Besides, of course, the alien object at the start of every level, and of course the crashed helicopter at the beginning of the game. So there's a reason why I never bothered trying out the helicopters, because I never actually saw it. Ever. Because I would just move on and ignore it. So I'm wondering... Yeah, even, like, the icon's just gone. Like, it doesn't even reset the numbers. Like, if I hit 2, it doesn't do anything. But, yeah, the lottery tickets of all things. I don't know if that actually does anything. I don't know if there might be an achievement for it, I'm guessing. Because I don't see any other unlocks that... At least none that are shown in the game. Like, I've unlocked 3-player mode. There aren't, as far as I can tell, there's no other challenge modes or anything like that. I've unlocked all the characters. But, yeah, some of these are kind of, like I give props. That helicopter thing, that's hilarious. I love it. That was something I was hoping would happen, and sure enough, they did it. So they implemented it. But, like I said, most of the madness effects don't really do anything. They just change your visibility. Some of them might make it a little difficult, where it constantly keeps your camera centered, no matter what. The food ones, of course, obviously, something tells me the food ones might actually do something. I think I've tried to eat like things like the burgers and stuff, but I don't think it actually like restores anything. Or it could just do damage because you're actually eating, like, I don't know, razor blades or something. But like I said, probably the biggest issue is, like, as you can see, I've been just sitting here without sleeping, and of course, you know, it gave me my 3 badnesses that are completely random, but at this point, it doesn't do anything to me. I can stay like this forever as long as my health... The only thing that's happening is my health is going down. And like I said, that's what this game is about. It's no longer about balancing warmth, stamina, or hunger. It's about just keeping your health bar high enough so you can get to the end. Speaking of the end, the endings aren't too bad. Pretty much all of them is just based off your final action, except for the one where you have to get the dish and charge it. Charging it wasn't that difficult. It was just something I was a little unaware of because I didn't really pay attention to the icons. Some of the icons do make it a little bit harder to kind of realize what you're supposed to be doing and things like that, but overall the mechanics are okay. Some of them, there is definitely some disconnect as far as realism is concerned. Like, obviously, why can't I use this furnace to cauterize my wound instead of having to just bleed out on the floor from a cut? Or, you know, practically anything. So there's just some things that just are kind of weird how they stand out. And the fact that you need a bed to sleep in, I mean, honestly, if you're tired, you can sleep anywhere. I would know. I've slept on floors and whatever. But especially if you have that freaking background about the military and stuff, then yeah, you learn how to sleep standing up. Anyway, I think I'm gonna go ahead and call this a video. Sorry if it's a little rambling. Like I said, this was just kind of figuring stuff out. I don't know where that one character went. It's hilarious, but you know, maybe she escaped. I wonder what would happen if you did that with all 3 characters. Like, all 3 characters just escaped through their imaginary helicopter. Anyway, I am the Depressed Eeyore, and this was Distrust. See you guys later.